Morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Social Media and Local Search 111. Each week we meet here to talk about topics raised on the social media and local search community. You can ask your own questions and join us on the panel if you like. With us today we have the oldest man in SEO, David Rozam.
Jim, you are the oldest man in SEO, not me.
I'm an SEO groupie.
As I hear.
Anyway, David has been an SEO for 12 years, I think, and a copywriter for about 312. You can find David at, pardon?
Possibly. I've forgotten so long. Do carry on.
You can find David at writingforseo.org. Masataki Wasa is webmaster of wasaweb.net. He is also a Google top contributor on the AdSense community. Masataki can be found at wasaweb.net. Tim Capper, he's CEO of onlineownership.com. He's also a Google top contributor on the Google My Business community. Is that still going, is it, that Google My Business community? Anyway, he can be found at onlineownership.com. William Rock is all those first three were all in the UK, but from the USA is William Rock. He is an SEO from Kansas and also a Google top contributor on the web search community. All right. Our first topic tonight, I've just realised I forgot to press a button before, concerns Facebook's WhatsApp privacy changes, raising European Union and US concerns. Last week, Facebook said it would start using data from the messaging app to allow advertisers to better target those users on Facebook and Instagram, in addition to allowing businesses to send messages to WhatsApp users directly. See, that's a bit of an overreach. The policy shift may help WhatsApp generate revenue, but also could irk users drawn to its strong stance on privacy. What do you guys think?
I don't like it.
You don't like it, David?
No, I don't like it. They made a big song and dance about privacy and end-to-end encryption and taking, I believe, the underlying technology from an app called Signal, which is supposed to be pretty damned secure. So they lure us into a sense of security about security and privacy. But then they dropped this one on us, which popped up in WhatsApp when you logged on, and you were given like one chance to opt out of having your whatever information it is passed on. I'm not really. I'm in a way I'm less concerned about what information is passed on, but having ads pushed into a so-called private messaging area. It's very much Facebook though. Facebook likes talking about opening up the internet to the world, but at the same time, the internet is not the internet as far as they're concerned. It's Facebook. So let's all put all of our online activity behind the Facebook wall, in the Facebook wall garden. So no, I don't like it. I don't like the way it's been handled, and I shall just carry on using Apple Messenger for all the messaging I do to people who have got Apple Messenger, of course. Yeah, that's it. Usual rant about privacy and stuff. I think it stinks.
Is anybody using Telegram?
I have a copy of it, and I think I've exchanged a couple of messages with Edwin, but that's about it.
Yeah. I'm using it. It's a good. I'm using the desktop version. But yeah, it's fine. No ads. I don't know what their business model is, but it's encrypted by default. I'm not all that confident though about encryption if it's using the standard SSL certificate generated by the industry that's been set up to do it. I'd only really have confidence in a SSL certificate that I wrote myself. Fairly well convinced they all have a means of decrypting them. Otherwise, why would they have held it back for so long? Anyway, any more on Facebook's? I mean, there have always been these blow-ups, haven't they? I mean, Facebook has always reached out for way too far and then had to pull back a little. But it's just like swimming up a waterfall. You just keep just a constant push to monopolize or monetize your private life.
Both.
I've got them all fooled. I just don't buy anything. I can't.
Buy locally with cash.
All right, let's move on from this one. And next one is, oh right, I had a look at this. Edwin posted on how to set your location manually in Google Chrome. Did you know you could do that, guys?
I've been hearing a lot of people talk about it in the forums and asking, especially when people go out of town and they come back in and their location is messed up. I guess there is a way to manually mark that, so that's pretty neat. I don't know how long it's been there though.
Used to be easy to. I mean, I have a problem. I live in Tweed Heads, which is 112 kilometres from Brisbane. But Telstra, when they register my IP, Telstra say that my IP address is in Brisbane, 112 k's away, and there's no way known I can change it to be where I really am. It's just impossible. It used to be so good, but as you know, the trend in Google just takes away, feature after feature after feature. It's beginning to become depressing for an old bloke like me.
Don't get too depressed. Google can never figure out where I am. Some of the time it thinks I'm in Derbyshire, which is a little bit further north than Corby, if you can actually imagine that.
There are places further north than Corby, are there?
Yeah, Derbyshire, just a little, yeah. They haven't quite got to the place where they have woad on their faces, but, you know. And that's somewhere near where my ISP is, but it isn't actually the location of my ISP. And some of the time they've worked out, indeed I am in Littlehampton, so that's fine. And sometimes they think I'm in London. Why, I don't know. And I'm always checking at the bottom of my Google screen, my Google search screen, to see where Google thinks I am, because, you know, it's whether I need to assume that Google knows where I am, and anything that says local goat shop. You know, will they give me one in Derbyshire, London, or Littlehampton? Only watch porn when they think you're in Derbyshire. Okay, thanks for that, Masataki. I'm sure that that's a ruse that you use a lot of the time. Yeah, so it's just as confusing over here as it is over there.
Yeah,
Okay.
When you end up doing Google search, though, Jim, for that, it's all about, you know, yeah, exactly fake geolocation, but that, you know, a lot of people are trying to use that for checking their AdWords as well, when there's still, you know, AdWord preview tool, different subject, different time. But then that's where I think people were starting to use the fake my location so that they can see those ads show up. That's just one little thing that I noticed. But when I was Google searching, that's kind of the hint I started to get.
You used to be able just to add a parameter onto the end of your search and get a viewpoint, but you can't do that now, can you?
I don't think so. I have to try. I never had to try. But it does make sense, though, you guys, when you guys are over. I mean, in the United States, it's pretty mapped out, but then when you're going to get to other continents around the world, you're looking at, okay, you know, my laptop, is it actually on the right time zone? You can mess up a lot of different things with your email and your Google searches and so on.
Okay. All right. Anybody else on this one? Let's move on to multiple owners for Google and Google business pages and accounts. This was an article published on online ownership by the inimitable Tim Capper, and I knew that Tim. I can see from the green image that you were on a call. I was just going to say, can somebody else speak on Tim's article? Let's skip it, and we'll come back to number 3 later on. Hopefully, Tim will be available. Facebook fires human editors. The algorithm immediately posts fake news. Yeah, I was amazed. They had 50 or 100 people working. They would get a news item. They would devise a title for it and a few lines of commentary. And they actually had humans doing it.
Yep, and they fired them.
Yep, they fired them.
Does that mean that artificial intelligence is smarter then? Or
No,
is
I
it-
think I think part of the issue was that there might have been, if you like, a bias, group bias, in the selection of news, especially in political areas. And in the United States, political news can be quite polarized and can be quite partisan. So I think there were allegations that Facebook pushed a certain editorial line in choosing news items to feature. So they thought, well, if we could have done it, if we could do it this thing by bots, at least there won't be that kind of human bias into the selection process. And lo and behold, they introduced that, and then the bot managed to pick up on a fake news story.
Very interesting.
So in a sense, you can argue, I think, many ways. One is to say, the AI needs improvement. It still can't do the kind of value judgment as well as a human being. If it was a human being, then he or she might have immediately picked up that this wasn't a credible story from a credible source. So you could say, well, it's a matter of time, and when the AI becomes good at distinguishing genuine from fake, bad from good sources, then it might just work. That's one way of arguing. And the other argument you could make is that, well, you really need people, because in the end, however you set up the AI, it's if it's determined by users or intensity or frequency of mentioning and things like that, then a political party or organization might try to influence it. It's a bit like SEO and other things, where people people try to reverse engineer the algorithm and then try to eke an advantage from that knowledge. So you could see that happening too. So the argument might be that you really do need human element at some point to ensure that it's not abused either. So I think you can make many different arguments about how this would proceed and how this would end up. But at this moment, I'd be very careful about relying on Facebook for your news.
Yeah, and yet we do. Well, actually, no, I don't. I use the local ABC here in Australia, and it's got a just in section. And I've got that on speed dial. I check it a few times a day, and it keeps me as informed as I want to be. But a lot of people get their news from social media. It's just hard to imagine, isn't it, David Rosam? I suppose you were around when they used to hand out the news on slate and slate tablets.
It was broadsides in my day, actually.
Which was?
Broadsides.
Broadsides.
Sides.
Broadsides.
Yes, yes. These, if I remember correctly, because it was a long time ago, when I was just entering my dotage, these were the forerunner of the newspapers, and they were single sheet pieces of polemic that were handed out in the streets of London, while people were still trying to keep their nose above the rising tide of horse shit.
Well, actually, speaking of things being handed out, I remember when the newspaper used to publish 3 editions during the day. There'd be a morning edition, a midday edition, and the one for after work. Do you guys remember that?
I do remember the a number of editions in central London. Yes, actually, when I first started work properly after university, there were still multiple editions of newspapers, and I remember buying the early edition of the Sunday whatever, the Sundays, the great thick Sundays, after being out for a long evening of drinking and stuff, sort of 4 in the morning or whatever time it was when they first started appearing. Yes, no, that was a bit before my time, Massa. Thank you.
I'm not sure if I'm being trolled or not, or if there might be 3 people out there teasing me or whatever, but I have this thing that tells me how many viewers that we have currently, and every time I talk, they all drop off. Maybe
and every time I talk, they all come back again. Surprising, that.
It takes a while. All right, let's move on to the next. New ways to control your experience on Twitter. I tell you, Twitter have come up with something that's very interesting. They've got a night mode now, so that if you're looking at Twitter in the dark, it's easier on your eyes. You can choose that option, change your settings so that you get Twitter on night mode. Anyway, a quality filter sounds better than a quality algorithm. That's what Edwin Young said. When turned on, the filter can improve the quality of tweets you see by using a variety of signals such as account origin and behavior. Turning it on filters lower quality content like duplicate tweets or content that appears to be automated from your notifications and other parts of your Twitter experience. I haven't seen that bit. Where is it, David?
I don't know. I haven't tried it either. I hardly ever go into the Twitter interface. So my first question is: does that change what I see through communities and other things I use for looking at Twitter? I don't know. But this is for me, this is the most interesting thing that we've talked about today, because there's a lot of spam going around at the moment. I think there's possibly more spam than usual hitting Twitter. There's a whole new set of spam that's relatively new to me. I noticed it about 4 weeks ago, which is there's always a load of obviously yes, Massa, there is possibly more spam on Twitter than previously. Anyway, we're used to the accounts of scantily clad ladies saying 100% follow back. There have been loads of those for ages, and there are lots of variations on them. But there are a number of accounts that say we don't actually put any spam and rubbish onto Twitter. you can follow my Snapchat account, blah blah blah. Now, one of the talks I attended at Brighton SEO on Friday was talking about how Snapchat is very well set up to sell individually to people, and you could use it for one-to-one selling. Now that sounds like that could very soon become a webcam type experience, where they're using Twitter to feed people to Snapchat. Anyway, that's not really anything to do with this, but it is another a form of spam that I've seen recently. Ah, thank you, William. William has just found another article on TechCrunch about this. But yeah, I'm certainly going to be giving this a go.
Yeah.
It also looks like it's filtering out the spam bots as well as the bullying issues, based off of an article from TechCrunch. We might want to post that, Jim.
Well, on my I don't have that ability, but you guys do on your panelist report. You can add a link any time you want. The one I have now, I don't have the ability to add a link.
Not a problem. If you can actually send me that link to the interface again, that'd be great.
Sure.
I'll post it there.
Getting it now. There you go, man. Latex? Did somebody mention latex? All right. Okay. Well, I must have a look at this new way of doing Twitter. I have to say, I've become very cynical since I've been on Twitter. I've worked out that if an attractive young lady wants to follow me, she's more than likely a bot. Anyway. I didn't follow up on this one, but Masataki posted the rich kid of Instagram who isn't quite what she seems.
Yes, this is about this person who is apparently a celebrity, quite famous on Instagram. I haven't really seen many other online social media presence for this person. But anyway, so she has managed to build up a following, and then she went on a TV show, which was about, I think, being rich and famous on Instagram. And she invited the TV crew into where she is living, except that she had been renting a room from a person, and then she invited the camera crew while the owner was away. And the daughter-in-law of this person who owns the flat is a journalist at The Guardian, which wasn't a great idea. it's unclear whether she is or she isn't fabulously rich. It's unclear to me who she is exactly. But anyway, it seems to be another instance of someone pretending to be something they're not. And this, of course, happens a lot of times, not just online, but offline too. If you read some of the 19th century novels, people pretended to be certain things by wearing certain clothes, for example, or behaving in certain ways. So there's nothing new about it, but it seems to be a case that social media makes it easier for people to project a fake life and reach out to a large audience and convince quite a lot of them. So I think that was interesting.
Angela thinks that she's a cavalry officer. She runs from store to store, credit cards in hand, shouting, "Charge! Charge!"
Into the valley of death.
Go ahead, Masataki.
No, charging, into the valley of death, really.
The valley of debt.
Yeah, that's worse than death.
Part of me says about this story, what the heck? I don't care. If you want to be that stupid to follow such idiocy, well, that's fine. Just carry on. Don't talk to me.
No, but it is interesting, isn't it? Because people are fascinated by the rich.
Yeah, but they're always fascinated by a kind of reality in inverted commas. When I was growing up, which was a long time ago, as you're going to remind me, I remember aunts and uncles being fascinated by what was going on in Coronation Street. If you're listening from somewhere else, that's a soap, and that was back when it was in black and white. And people back then were taking, the characters, whoever they were, as being real people. And that's got, to my mind, worse and worse, going through to now, where newspapers splash stories from various soaps on the front page and stuff. Well, okay, fine. If it just seems to be there are certain people who get suckered into these parallel realities, and to some extent, it doesn't matter to me whether she's right or whether she's real or not. People will tend to turn her into some kind of reality, even if they realise she is unreal. But it is interesting, although I don't think it's that new.
No, but I think it makes it easier, because before it would have been slightly more difficult. I think the barrier would have been higher, because either you have to sort of
TV company.
So, you either have to be on television, which is not easy, or you have to worm your way through meeting people, getting into societies, getting into clubs, getting into professional associations, blah blah blah. You could blag your way through that, but that takes time. Whereas with social media, if you get it right, you could get a huge amount of following quite quickly and quite easily. And I think that's the difference. That's of course, what they do in terms of being, pretending to be something that they're not, that's nothing new. But in terms of quantity and quality, if you like, I think it has become far easier.
So you reckon that I can get a following on Instagram if I start taking photographs of my much enlarged bottom from sitting on office chairs for the past century or so?
I mean, that's a certain niche fetish, but I'm sure there will be plenty of people.
I can oil it up a bit, to make it sparkle.
It wouldn't be a big list, David.
It would be very targeted, though.
It would be definitely niche.
Very niche. Just think of the specialist advertising I could attract to it.
Yes.
Yeah, but any niche will have a relatively large absolute number of people. That's the thing about it. That's what the internet has allowed. Things that wouldn't have been viable before, because let's say you wanted a magazine or something like that, you'd have the cost of actually producing it, distributing it, finding people who are interested in that particular niche. The cost and the barrier to entry have are more or less gone, if you like. So it doesn't matter where they are, so long as you could get a strong core of your of supporters, wherever they may be, then you might just about be able to make something viable in a way that wouldn't have been possible before. And that is becoming easier because there are social media platforms which act as infrastructure and ready access to millions and millions of people. So it's going to happen more and more, I think.
Yes, yeah, there will be more sub-Kardashians to clog our internets.
Yeah, you could try to break the internet with your particular bottom, David.
Yes, I could.
Well, it'd be an interesting exercise in social media. I mean, I reckon if we could publicise David's bottom, we could publicise just about anything. I mean, it could be a test for new SEOs to join our group.
Can you get to position 1 for the search David's bottom?
Okay. Let's go on to the next, if there is one. Yes, TSU or Sue or whatever it is called, and Blab. It hasn't been a good month for the pundits that wrote guides and predicted huge things for these things. I didn't think Blab was ever going to go because it didn't allow Google. Pardon me, I've got the hiccups. It didn't allow Googlebot to index it. So what would be the point of Blab if you're not building an archive? What's the point? But anyway, TSU's gone. Pardon me. Blab is gone. LO is on life support. Apparently, a lot of LGBT people left Facebook and went to LO. And that's providing the bulk of their numbers right now. What's the next thing we're going to see crash soon, guys?
Well, I forgot about Blab and Ello. Ello, I had an account a long time ago when it first started, but haven't touched it since. But yeah, Blab, it was kind of sad to watch everybody's stuff go away within one day. Oh, no, it's next. Dave says it's Google Plus.
Yeah, Google Plus is next. I think so. Did you see the notice I posted on the SEO Questions community tonight? I'll get it for you. Okay, Tim, no problem. Oh. Well, should we gloat over our astuteness, Masataki?
Yeah, I mean, it's always. I think. How could I put it? It's always good to see new ideas and new products come to the scene. Not all of them are going to succeed, and some are going to wither and die. Yeah, I didn't particularly buy into the idea of Sue because I thought it was a pyramid scheme. I think I've said that before. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think the danger or the lesson to be learned from all of this is, in a sense, to make sure that your business, your organization has sound enough, solid enough foundations, so that even if a particular platform goes, you are not going to go down with it. And I think that's always the important thing to remember, that don't put everything, don't put all your eggs in a single basket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, spreading it out definitely helps. People are doing social media. We're posting a piece of social media that's going back to your website. When you start talking about like Blab not being indexed, Jim, and that was kind of interesting. It was like 4 boxes. It was like the Brady Bunch. You jump in, jump out. And I saw a lot of distractions that would happen in those conversations with people that didn't really know the group. They just came in. But then I saw a lot of other great blabs that were out there. I participated in that for maybe a month. But then it became overwhelming to watch an hour show. But at the same time, as you're not recording it, it's not staying somewhere. So moving all your eggs into different baskets definitely makes it a little easier if a platform was to crash or go away or combine into another, which we've seen with Google. They combine those into newer versions. Say, for example, Google Plus. Look at the changes and progression that it's come this far. And now there's chatter of the default old interface that a lot of people are accustomed to that liked. This is now going to be forwarding or forcing you to now go to the new version. So it's also change too, right? Are we wanting to move to that change, or are we still stuck in the old days?
Okay. All right. I think this time when we click the button, it'll be good night. Yes, it's thank you for watching time. Are there any other items of general business? Okay. Well, thank you for watching us. Your interest in what we do makes what we do worthwhile, and for that we thank you most sincerely. We'll be back at the same time next week to do this all again. But for now,